November 16, 1632. Lutzen, Saxony. Dense fog blankets the battlefield. A Swedish musketeer crouches in the front rank, heart pounding, watching Imperial musketeers emerge from the mist 50 yards ahead. In older armies, he'd be fumbling with a powder flask right now, measuring loose gunpowder by eye, praying he got the amount right, pouring it carefully down the barrel, fishing for a lead ball from his pouch, ramming everything down with frantic haste. 3 minutes minimum to reload, maybe 4 if his hands are shaking. But he's Swedish. He reaches to his bandolier, tears a small paper cylinder with his teeth, pours the contents, pre-measured powder and ball together, straight down the barrel, rams the paper itself as wadding. 30 seconds. He's ready to fire again while Imperial troops are still measuring powder. The Swedish line erupts in synchronized volleys. 3 ranks firing, 3 ranks reloading, continuous thunder, an unbroken wall of lead that never stops. Imperial formations dissolve under the relentless firepower. This is King Gustavus Adolphus's revolution. Chemical standardization through material logistics. The paper cartridge doesn't just speed up reloading, it fundamentally changes battlefield mathematics, turning Swedish infantry into industrial-age killing machines in a Renaissance war. The 30 Years' War had been devastating Europe since 1618. Initially a religious conflict between Catholic and Protestant states within the Holy Roman Empire that metastasized into a continent-wide struggle for power. By 1630, Sweden's King Gustavus Adolphus, called the Lion of the North, intervened to save the Protestant cause from collapse. Backed by French subsidies, he landed in Pomerania with 18,000 troops and revolutionized European warfare. His victories at Breitenfeld in September 1631 and Rain in April 1632 were crushing, demonstrating the superiority of his tactical innovations. But by fall 1632, Imperial commander Albrecht von Wallenstein, one of Europe's greatest generals, had regrouped. Wallenstein attacked Saxony, capturing Leipzig in early November, threatening to knock Sweden's ally, John George I, out of the war and forcing Gustavus to follow. On November 15th, Swedish scouts reported Wallenstein had detached Gottfried Heinrich Graf zu Pappenheim's corps of 5,800 men to Halle, leaving only 13 to 15,000 Imperial troops at Leipzig. Gustavus commanded 19,000, numerical superiority at last. He decided to attack immediately, advancing from Naumburg. His force included veteran Swedish brigades, 850 troops from Hesse Castle, 2,000 Saxons. On November 15th evening, the Swedish army camped 2 kilometers outside Lutzen in battle formation, ready to attack at dawn. But Gustavus's real advantage wasn't numbers, it was logistics and technology. For centuries, reloading muskets was nightmarishly slow and inconsistent. Soldiers carried gunpowder in flasks, measured approximate amounts by eye or with powder measures, poured it down barrels, retrieved lead balls from separate pouches, rammed everything with wooden rods. The process was clumsy, time-consuming, error-prone. Too much powder caused dangerous misfires. Too little meant weak shots. Different musket calibers required different powder charges, creating logistical chaos. Reload time averaged 3 to 4 minutes. Infantry formations compensated with depth, 10 ranks or more, so front ranks could fire while rear ranks reloaded in rotation. Gustavus revolutionized this through material science and standardization. He lightened Swedish muskets from 25 pounds to 11 pounds, eliminating the forked rest other armies required. Critically, he standardized calibers across his entire army. Then came his masterstroke, the paper cartridge. Swedish armories produced small, tightly rolled paper tubes, each containing the exact mathematically measured grain of gunpowder and one lead ball for standardized caliber muskets. Soldiers wore bandoliers where cartridges could be easily accessed. In combat, the process became beautifully simple. Bite the cartridge top, pour powder, and ball together down the barrel. Ram the paper itself as wadding. No measuring, no fumbling with separate pouches, no errors. Reload time dropped to 30 to 45 seconds, quadruple the rate of fire compared to traditional methods. This packaging innovation had cascading tactical effects. Because Swedish musketeers reloaded so quickly, Gustavus reduced formation depth to 6 ranks, later just 3 at Lutzen. Thinner formations meant his armies covered much wider fronts with the same manpower. He could deploy more musketeers relative to pikemen, 2-to-1 ratio, versus traditional parity, because rapid reload compensated for fewer men per volley. Swedish formations could maintain continuous fire, front 3 ranks kneeling, crouching, standing, firing simultaneously, then counter-marching to rear while back 3 ranks stepped forward. The enemy faced unending volleys. Combined with Gustavus's mobile light artillery and aggressive cavalry tactics, Swedish firepower was devastating. November 16th dawned with heavy fog. Lutzen fog remains Swedish vernacular for dense mist. The delay gave Wallenstein time to recall Pappenheim and build defensive positions along the Leipzig-Lutzen road. Swedish attack began 11 a.m. Gustavus led from the right, overrunning Imperial musketeers, crossing the road, outflanking Wallenstein's left. Then Pappenheim arrived with 2,300 cavalry, charged, drove Swedish infantry back with severe losses. But Swedish paper cartridges kept the fire continuous, even under pressure. Pappenheim was mortally wounded. Around 1 p.m., Gustavus was killed leading a cavalry charge into fog, separated from his bodyguard, shot multiple times. His subordinate Bernhard of Saxe-Weimar assumed command, rallied the Swedish infantry, unleashed furious volleys supported by close-range artillery. By nightfall, Swedish firepower overwhelmed the imperial center. Wallenstein withdrew toward Leipzig in good order, but abandoned wounded. Most guns, his supply train. Casualties were horrific. 6,000 Swedish, 5,000 Imperial. Both sides claimed victory. Tactically, Sweden held the field. Strategically, Gustavus's death was catastrophic. Protestant forces lost their greatest commander. But the paper cartridge revolution survived him. Swedish rapid-fire tactics became the European standard. Frederick the Great studied Gustavus's methods a century later. The principle of standardized, pre-packaged ammunition, exact chemical measurements in convenient material containers, became fundamental to all modern firearms. Gustavus proved that sometimes victory isn't about better weapons, but better logistics, turning complicated processes into simple mechanical actions, making every soldier reload like clockwork, transforming firepower from art into science.